I need you to watch this video to the end, and this is no joke, no sensationalized title. You saw the title. Warning. Massive extremist quarantine, not my words, somebody else's, has been launched. These hashtags could get you a case of mistaken identity that can cost you everything. The United States, in conjunction with the EU, in conjunction with the UN, in conjunction with Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and all the platforms, are going to go ahead and start monitoring things that could easily, within seconds, infringe on your rights when you did absolutely nothing wrong. A few simple hashtags that if you posted any time in your history can get you put in a database of which, again, they are proposing, initiating, and launching an entirely Orwellian quarantine unlike anything we've ever seen. So if it's ever more relevant, it's why we created Restricted Republic. It's why we created a platform outside of the Titans to assure we can still give you uncensored and unfiltered news. When we're done with this broadcast, you'll understand again exactly why we did it and why you need to get over there today. So along with subscribing to this channel, please go ahead and assure that everything you've seen on your screen you have access to before you have access to nothing, because that is their intent. Silence of all opposing voices. Restricted Republic, right now, 2 discount codes. Discount code FREEDOM, 24 months, $5 a month, 14 days for free. Or discount code SAVE10 at annual checkout, $10 off the annual subscription, 14 days for free. All subscriptions auto-renew. Get over there today, because there's going to be so much information we have to give you as these stories develop when you're broadcasting in some ways on the very platforms who are helping to initiate this quarantine. That is extremely, extremely concerning. And they may not even mean to do it. They may just use one mistaken hashtag identity. And guess what? You're on the list. Get over to Restricted Republic now. So I just want to get this out there right off the beginning so everybody stays with us and realize this wasn't sensationalized. The EU has unveiled a plan to quarantine extremist humor and to debunk the harmful contents of extremist humor. They will also build partnerships with social media influencers and progressive communities. Coming off this article, published by Reuters, Facebook and tech giants to target attacker manifestos, far-right militias in database. Should be grave cause for concern. Well, I'm going to go into what this all means and what it means for you. Until now, the Global Internet Forum to Counter Terrorism's database has focused on videos and images from terrorist group on a United Nations list, and so has largely consisted of content from Islamic extremist organizations such as the Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, and the Taliban. This was the organization here, GIFCT, that a lot of people are claiming this is new news. It isn't. It's the change that is new, and I'll show you this. Back in 2017, Facebook, Microsoft, Twitter, and YouTube launched anti-terrorism partnership. In this article, it states, the Big Four have launched a partnership aimed at combating terrorists online. The Global Internet Forum to Counter Terrorism builds on several existing initiatives which are designed to scrub terrorist recruitment material from the internet and promote counter-narratives to potential recruits. The forum is supposed to make it easier for its members to cooperate with each other, as well as with governments, small companies, and non-governmental organizations. The forum's scope is supposed to evolve over time, which it just did now. But its core goal includes improving technology for detecting terrorist material, creating best practices for addressing extremist and online hate, and sharing information about members' respective counter-speech tools like Google's Jigsaw redirect method, which places anti-terrorist advertisement alongside keywords popular with potential ISIS recruits. The key word there is keywords. It's how many of these algorithms work. It's how they log, track, well, everything online. So those keywords is what I'm going to warn you about at the end, because they've already told you what keywords they bundle with this term white supremacy. So it could be a case of mistaken identity. It's up to us to look out for ourselves, because you can't trust these databases to get it right. So the story goes on. Facebook, big tech to monitor right-wing militia content flagged by UN. So now the story develops to this next phase of this Orwellian mechanism. They're going again after right-wing militia. According to Reuters, the business within GIFCT, which has also been YouTube shares hashes or unique identifiers of content that have been removed from their platform and services. Going back to the original article now, and I know I'm moving quick. I got to get to the hashtags here. Over the next few months, the group will add attacker manifestos, often shared with sympathizers after white supremacist violence, and other publications and links flagged by UN initiative Tech Against Terrorism. It will use lists from intelligence sharing group Five Eyes, adding URLs and PDFs from more groups, including the Proud Boys, the Three Percenters, and neo-Nazis. So we went from a nation that was very upset at the UN to now opening our arms to the UN and allowing them to go ahead and monitor further, sending in a UN posse to go ahead and fight white extremists and hate and divide. And now we're going to weaponize them with additional information over a generic set of information that can easily, again, be a case of mistaken identity. So the Five Eyes group many of us know about, the Intelligence Oversight and Review Council, formed initially after some horrific events to go ahead and try to combat back against this extremism online. The tech platforms have long been criticized for failing, but I guess the question would be, why now? Why the change? Well, we know why the change. Because the tech platforms have taken great heat over failing to police violent extremist content, though they also face concerns over censorship. We'll just put that in the back burner, though that's not really important. The issue of domestic extremism, including white supremacy and militia groups, took on renewed urgency following the deadly January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol, and there you have it. The January 6th event has triggered them to take this a step further. But again, it's that one term, and Joe Biden uses it all too often. Biden says terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to homeland security. But what's bundled with that term, white supremacy, is of great concern. Tucker Carlson is grouped into that term. Do you believe Tucker Carlson's a bad person? I know you saw the phishing video and the confrontation he was in, but there's more to that story too. We'll get onto that over at Restricted later this week. But we got to stay focused on this new movement by Facebook and the tech giants and how this is relevant to us now. Meanwhile, the GIFTC has received criticism for human and digital rights groups over censorship. The group wants to continue to broaden its database to include hashes of those audio files or certain symbols, and grow its membership. It recently added home rental giant Airbnb and email marketing company MailChimp as members to help go ahead and identify everybody they view as the enemy. Now warnings are coming out from Emma Alonso, Director of Free Expression at the Center of Democracy and Technology, says this expansion of the GIFCT hash database only intensifies the need for GIFCT to improve the transparency and accountability of these content-blocking resources. As the database expands, the risk of mistaken takedowns or mistaken identities only increase. The CCP financial system is here. Another maneuver yesterday. Now the ADL has joined forces with PayPal to fight extremism and hate. But how are they going to catalog all this information? Well, let's give you a few examples. The ADL already has one such database. Now, I want you to be really focused here and think about, have I published any of these symbols? Echo, hate, the OK hand gesture that you've heard about, White Lives Matter. Now think, have you put any of those within any of your social media so far? Maybe not. Maybe you've avoided those. Maybe you didn't realize what they meant. My job is to educate you here so you know what they believe they mean and how they overgeneralize things. But that's not even close to just some of the hashtags or words or symbols that can get you in trouble. It's the next ones that will send chills up your spine. Hashtags for white supremacy. Probably too small to read, so I'll go ahead and zoom in on that a little bit. Obviously, the word white supremacy, Black Lives Matter, racism, white privilege, BLM, Trump, George Floyd, MAGA, Donald Trump, white supremacist, Joe Biden, America, not my president, impeached. Those are all words that this group is classifying as words that mean white supremacy. Have you used any of those hashtags at any point in time. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, MAGA. You see why we have such cause for concern? Do you see how these things all get grayed up when you're putting the power in the hands of folks that are logging terms that did you ever use? Because if you did, you're now a portion of this mass quarantine effort, potentially, if they just so happen to have a case of mistaken identity and everything you've worked for is gone. This is no different, my friends, than what China did when they launched a 6-month special campaign to regulate its internet sector and to crack down on malicious internet company practices, according to the Ministry of Industry and Information and Technology. If you think this is a stretch or a reach, you're wrong, because it keeps getting worse. And now this would capture everything. Everything. And everything you work so hard to protect and maintain and fight for. One hashtag could get you on that quarantine list. That quarantine against this, whatever information they're calling it now. And tomorrow it will change again, because whatever word they decide they need to politically weaponize, they will. They'll put it in the database. And guess what, folks? That's right. You're joining people you had no intent of ever joining. Guilty until proven innocent, once again, with an intelligence community run out of control. And if you think this is anything short than a red alert warning, you'd be wrong. This is disgusting. This is despicable. And this is another mass abuse of a global power coming into the United States and seizing control with the assistance of people who no longer represent us. My friend, sorry to have to announce this to you, but I wanted to protect you so you'd realize just some of the words that they're going to go ahead and consider you a very bad person for. And that's a list you don't want to be on. So until next time, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I hope you will. If you haven't realized by now why you need to be on Restricted Republic, I don't know what else I can do to convince you. But I promise you, just a few minutes over there, and I won't need to convince you, because you'll be sold yourself. RestrictedRepublic.com. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.